Hey, what's up, everyone? As you can see, I am in a new place. I moved this weekend and set up here. You can see we've got prints I got a while ago. Now got Muxus, file driver, um, and it's looking all right. Not sure what I'm really gonna do today. I'm feeling a little small brained to be playing Magic right now. Moving is rather exhausting. Um, so I'm feeling pretty chill. Um, I do want to say, in the near future, I'm going to run a giveaway for one of these Goblin Pile Driver um, prints. I have a second one, the cause behind me. So I'm not sure what the giveaway entry is going to be yet. Keep your eyes peeled for that. It's a really nice print actually. I was really happy with how they turned out. So you too can be a proud owner of a Goblin Pile Driver print once I figure out what this giveaway is going to be. Other thing, got a new emote for subs. So if you are a tier 1 subscriber or above to my channel, I have this deep fried angry trap emote that I absolutely loved. Damato XP on Twitter, I believe. He made this at my request and I converted it into an emote, and I think it's absolutely hilarious. Um, so I played a little bit. Went on a bit of a tilt queue streak, lost a whole bunch. I want to look back at some of those games and see if I could have done anything differently if I wasn't like kind of tilting. When I pulled it back a little bit, I had a pretty unfortunate 3-2 that like I'm pretty sure I could have gotten the 4-1. Uh, and then I had a 4-1 that was just really close to a 5-0. So I want to look at those as well. City Whites, greetings from Rome. Hello. I've spent a decent amount of time in Rome actually. Uh, I was in Rome for a month and a half, a couple summers ago. So fond memories of that place. I was at a summer program at the American Academy in Rome, which is like in like archaeology, classics, architecture, art, history kind of program. And it was really great. We went all over Rome and got to see a lot of things that other people don't get to see, which is always really cool. All right, so hey, Bear. Yeah, Rome is really quite awesome. Very much enjoyed it. Yeah, it's Pal print. Quite nice, and we got Muxus there. I hope it's a little. I unfortunately the way this room is set up, I couldn't have the wall behind me because otherwise it gets too hard to actually get in. Here's Muxus. This is Pile Driver. Let's see if I can pull the webcam over. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see what the best way to do this is. That's all right. Yeah. Um. Yeah. So we're chilling here. Make sure this is correct because this was wrong last time. Okay. Should work. All right, so I'm gonna go through these matches here. So I played this list. So I'm trying out this thing where I'm cutting 2 chalices for a Tarkfire and extra red blast. Skipper, yeah. Because I've wanted Tarfire versus Sunoco because they bring in two Containment Priests, two Plague Engineers, and Creator Maker is just like a really clunky mana intensive way to answer those cards. And you just want something that you don't have to spend a bunch of turns. You know, like you don't want to have to tutor for Creator Maker, spend 3 mana to kill the thing, and then like do nothing. So you get like Raft and Time Walked twice or whatever to get your answer. Source Plague Engineer goes against Snow, and that matters most against Snow because you're trying to aggro them out for the most part. Against other decks, it's less important. You're also more willing to board in removal, and you're also boarding out Creator Makers because they're the worst part of the matchup generically. Priest is another thing. It's hard. You can't like flash in. You can't flash in Creator Maker in response to Containment Priest coming in response to your Muxus, right? So Tarfire is the really easy way. If you go Muxus, and then they cast Priest, then you can just Tarfire it, and that especially works if you're doing it with a Prospector line, right? I guess I'm boarding out Prospectors versus Snow for the most part. Oh yeah, I was in the 5-0 dump last 5-0, which I think was the one on stream. No, it wasn't. That was this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So let's see. I guess first I'll start taking a look at some of these games that I lost. Like this one. Not sure which one this is. So all these. So Chalices came out for the Tarfire and the Third Blast because I'm seeing a ton of show and tell, and also Doomsday is relatively popular, and Snow and decks like that. So I wanted to try out the Third Red Blast again. Go to 5 here against lands. I'm not the best. I went on a little bit of a losing streak against lands, which I felt pretty bad about. But this, I just get turn 2 with the crop rotation. Yeah, so that's just the land snuff draw. That's fine. That does keep happening to me, which was a bit of a tell of this hand. Okay, so this hand, I probably should have mulliganed to this. I think this is like a bad keep because this is better. I think this is a keep on the draw, but not being able to play your lackey on turn 1 is such a big deal. And you get Giga punished by stuff like that. So I waste the Taiga to see if I can mana screw them. They are color screwed. If I needle the Blast Zone, they play this thing and like go off with double exploration. Surgical looks really stupid, and I'm still not drawing lands. The game stalls out here, but I just never ever draw a red source 6 turns. But this is a mulligan for that reason, right? Yeah, I think reasonable on the draw, but on the play, I think it was just me being that this was a tilt keep, right? Where it's like, oh, they turn 2 deaths to me on the play or game 1, and you shouldn't just like act like that's necessarily going to happen again. So that's just that was definitely a poor call there. This match on the play, keep a reasonable 7, lead on Taiga or port 2 because the red source is wastelandable. Go Seagate Reborn or untapped play Preordained. So this makes me think show and tell. Non-Utel deck. To Mystics. This is called Justice right here, by the way. Just get stuck in lands. Lackey comes in the perfect time because then we can time it with the war chief and still port them. They're stuck on lands, discard an Emrakul, and die. It was really nice of them that they didn't concede before they discarded the Emrakul. They really should have. They may have sideboarded it a little bit differently. Let me look at that 7 again real quick. Yeah, so his hand is like a pretty fast clock, but the problem is it doesn't have any interaction really. We can't even beat Emrakul by itself. Grizzlebrand, maybe. Uh, but no defense against an omniscience. It's just if you had a wasteland report or something like that, it'd be okay, or like a pyroblast. But this isn't great either though, because the war marshal's really slow pressure. Cantrip a bunch. Wasteland that immediately. No, I'm just kind of stuck in this awkward limbo. And then I go for the port there because I think it's correct, but then they find the moment to toss in a Emrakul right past me, and I just didn't have anything to put in. That was just kind of unfortunate. I could have held up the red blast, but I don't think I was supposed to. This I just keep because now I'm on the play and I have a cavern, so I can definitely race. Save a really really fast draw. War Chief Matrix Muxus. Easily lethal next turn. And third land lets me go Matron off of non-cavern. If they were to force that, that's fine. Then we cavern out Pile Driver, and then swing for a whole lot and see if our Muxus hits. But this way we get deterministic lethal. It's quite cheap. So, all right. So that was a pretty straightforward game and match for the most part. Like, don't tell us not that tricky to play against. Let's see. I think this just lands again, and I just like did stupid stuff. So it's on the play. Very medium hand. Hand is reasonable though. Go back to second driver. They go to the wasteland. I don't know. This was Delver. Oh, it's Bug Shadow. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I punted. I punted big time. It's like whole match. Yeah. So Wasteland, the water grave, so they can't cast like snuff outs and stuff like that. The theme of this match is that mana denial just isn't as effective as I want it to be. I should have cast the Pile Driver pre-combat, I think, for snuff out. Oh no, it doesn't. That actually doesn't make any sense. Did not punt. Yeah, I think I should play the Pile Driver there because I can pay for a daze. Though the logic to hold it is that I can upkeep Violet in, then take File to 3, and this way I get to keep porting them. I got really punished by not porting. I was scared of Bazoom, which I thought they would have in their deck. I ported Underground Sea or the Watery Grave. I think I just they can't Thoughtseize my ringleader, which ends up really really mattering. I learned my lesson. For black. Munitions Expert, it's double dazed. Which is kind of rough. But I killed the Mandrels at least. Playing Oko here, yeah. It's pretty obnoxious. Matron, the last card is Force of Will and blue card. So that's a tilt. Big time. I wonder if I swung first. I cost myself some Pile Driver damage, but it doesn't actually matter because I just swing face. Wait, did I just miss? Oh yeah, I know that. Okay, so this is actually missing lethal. Right, because if I attack with everything at face, they block the Pile Driver, take 3, go to 1. and then they can't cast Force. And then I can Matron for Sling Gang and kill them. So 100% should have played Matron post combat. And like, there's no way to punish that because they're not allowed to block the Skirt Prospector there. And they just died a pile driver. Okay, so that was a game losing punt there. Like we still have outs. The War Marshal's a decent draw, but this Oko is really obnoxious here. But I kill the Oko by trading my pile driver basically. A Wasteland hit me into 2. Food, I block. I cycle Street Rape into another Death Shadow. I draw another land. Block. Right, this was the super tilt. So I draw Sling Gang, and then to play around removal, I port, and then the last card that they drew was Stifle. And I thought I punted in the moment because it's like, oh, if I just cast the Sling Gang, they die. But then they can Stifle the ETB trigger. Now, if I just activated Bile, I wonder if they. I wonder if. I wonder if they would just activate, or if they would just cycle the Bile. If I didn't show them the land. They probably would, right? Otherwise, they die to Ringleader. Yeah. So I did like the one line that helped me 100% of the time. 9 or IX Catheris, or 9 Catheris if you're getting a numeral with it. Thanks for the follow. So that was a big mistake there. Keep this hand because it plays Charmin Vial and like has caverns. Let's use the pile driver. So sideboarded. Not in love with my sideboarding here. They play a Shadow, or more Shadow. I should have flashed an Expert there because if they have Snuff Out, they end up having to snuff out an Illusions Expert instead of. What happens is that they snuff out War Chief and I get super blown out and I lose. And I play it here. So that I drew these Pyroblast that don't do anything. So I just had a very aggressive draw. So yeah, the War Chief could have lived. Not that it would have mattered, but that was still a big mistake. So that kind of sucked. This was lands again. I know who this was. I thought they run Goblins. I play Goblins. Keep this kind of at 6, but throw one Mana Bond, and well, cool. And looks like garbage. So now I'm just on to 2-2 you to death before you can deaths. I think I'm exactly 1 turn too short. I end up. I get pretty close though. I think I matron for Sling Gang here. I should have matron for Pile Driver. Even though they had the maze, I think the Sling Gang gets stuck in my hand for the entire game. So they find a port here. Yeah. And the port is just so devastating. But I have been able to play double Pile Driver there. They go to 4. They find the depths on the last possible turn. And they go to 1. So the matron target ended up being pretty bad. I could have gotten Lackey, I could have gotten Pile Driver, just any, honestly, even just like one Marshall, something that goes wide against the 2 mazes, probably would have worked out better. Or definitely would have worked out better. So snap keep, and I draw running wastelands. Like they have a tabernacle here, which is annoying, but to ping them for a little bit, we draw Muxus, and we have a matron. I mean, a wasteland. Like that's just an insane draw by me. And then game 3 here. See if there's anything. Definitely a mulligan here. No hate pieces. No 1-drop. Very reasonable 6. I think I throw back the second Crater Maker. Yeah. Charm on Exploration, obviously not what I want to see. Reclaimer could be problematic. Relic can keep it under control to some extent. But the problem is it has depths combo pretty easily. This indicates they have depths, though, the fact that they attack Reclaimer. Yeah. So, yeah, just turn 3. Lage on the draws. Pretty hard to beat without a Wasteland or a Caracas there. If I had one more turn, I probably could have done it because in War Chief, Sling Gang. Though I guess I took a bunch from the. Well, I was at 16, right? The Reclaimer hit me. Probably still can't live. Possible though. Yeah, some really fast Marrow Ages from lands is really annoying. They've been leaning into that more lately. Here's Esper Vial, hold a 6, put back the Pile Driver, I think. Force Pitch to Parry. Prince. Play 2-drop. Bipolar Scholar takes my Bashik Mons. Or Chief gets Cloud. Fail the Strix. Bunch of crappy cards. Just kind of flood out. I don't think I'd draw like another spell for a long time. Like Pile Driver, I need to kill these 2 things to get it through. I mean, if I ever kill a Hollow Scholar, Tide Hollow Scholar, I'm pretty sure I just win. But I name Muxus. I draw lands for the rest of the game. Yeah. Never won 2 cards a turn. Yeah, so I just flooded out really badly, and eventually they found Recruiter for Engineer. So I drew 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lands. So can't really do anything about that game. Just the way it happened. Sand's kind of a bad key. I don't know. How does that work here? So boarded out Pile Driver, War Chief, Prospector, Sling Gang, 2 blasts, came in, War Marshal. I don't think this hand is great because there's a red source issue, right? The turn 1 vial. I think I make a big mistake here. I play the Crater Maker on turn 2. I just have the plow, and that just ruins everything. And of course. So you see the issue here. Red source is making the red blast really awkward. Soul Herder. Basic Planes with the Twitch Prime sub. Welcome. Appreciate it. Still don't. I have to blast the Soul Herders that get just like infinite value. Taking the Draft Master. Yeah, I think if I had played the Crater Maker on turn 3 instead of playing it out early, then I would have resolved the Matron, and that could have dug me out a lot more. And set Metro Plague Engineer. Cycle finds something. But at this point, I'm just looking to find. I bought Tarfire and Bolt in Pyrokinesis. So I've got 4 plus 2 Crater Makers. So I've got 6 direct answers to the Engineer here. Don't think I ever find one. Ringleader just hits War Chief. Yeah, that was pretty bad. I think cratering was either it was arguably bad keep. I don't know. It seemed reasonable in the moment, but I never got to use the rev to maximum effect just because of the red source issue. Um, like both the revs hit things that already like drew cards, right? I guess I blasted a Strix on the stack, but other than that, I blasted a Soul Herder that already flickered a Strix. And our ringleader was very bad. We bought him a Pyrokinesis. Um, yeah, that was rough. Having no Luckier Vial turn one was a pretty big deal in this matchup, especially because they're very very slow. But I think the key point was not. I shouldn't have run out the Crater Maker. That was my easiest way to take out their Vial. Because if they don't have Vial that game, it's much easier to contain their board. And then same Lance players earlier. At this point, I was like fully on tilt, so probably gonna catch a lot of mistakes soon. Draw exploration depths. I wasteland the depths immediately because I'm sick of getting turn 2'd. It seems if I just wasted the Taiga, they just would have died. Kind of hilarious. Yeah. To start porting the Taiga, they draw the forest, but their hand is double exploration. So I get to spew out a little bit the War Marshal. I finally draw another mana source, but I think so if I wasted the Taiga instead of the depths, I'm pretty sure I win this game. Port that. Get to do a million things because they have triple exploration. Grasping Dune's my lackey. Kill my port. Glacial Chasm lock plus Investment Stage. It's a good Muxus, but good enough. So yeah, I think, but like that kind of decision where I wasted the depths on turn one, like I would normally never make that decision, but because I was just tilting and getting turn two by lands a couple of times, that's what I did, and I think that's just a good example of why you should also just have the absolute here. I do draw the black source, but Jesus Christ. But I also have a really good hand here, but this is pretty unreasonable. So the needle baits them into making the depths, and then Rockus blows them out. Um, yeah, turn one exploration, Mox, Reclaimer. I didn't say. 3 here. Again, so I think I'm learning like this is not a keep versus lands. They're like this is just not a keep versus lands at all. Anytime you're going wasteland go against lands, you're losing. Stage copy of basic. Moss versus needle. So I might put them too far behind to win though, right? I don't know. I forget what the clock was. But yeah, this is what happens. A needle stage. Probably should have needle. I don't think there are really good names there. Oh, they surgical my wastelands, which is pretty funny. Yeah, I think I just never draw another land. Force of Vigor, Valakut Exploration, cool. Yeah, I just never draw another land. Yeah, that's why I don't keep these hands. So lesson learned there. Don't keep super reactive hands versus lands on draw game 3. It's just never gonna work out in your favor. Let's see its lands again. Reasonable hand on exploration for the 5th time or whatever. I was getting very sick of turn exploration at this point, but they're out of gas. They just had like a ton of not super useful lands here. Sabine's Reclamation's kind of interesting, but I drop a Ringleader there to see if I can hit something a little more interesting. So I'm probably Mage Necromuxus next turn. Port messes with that plan though. But like they're just under so much pressure that they can't do anything about Pile Driver killing them. Pretty reasonable hand. We got an answer to stage and an answer to Loam. I do a really boneheaded here thing here. I surgical stage when I have needle in my hand. Uh, just get absolutely wrecked by Loam, Mana Bond. Ringleader hits a Crater Maker, and that's it. I can't beat the Field of Dead from here. There's just like without. So I used my surgical for no reason. Like all I needed to do is needle stage, save surgical for Loam, and then way more favored. So that was just me being stupid. I mean, normally Goblins versus lands does not come down to field. Field usually is somewhat irrelevant. Games just don't tend to last that long. They have a bit of a slower draw here. So just played Valakut Exploration on turn 3, which without Exploration is a hell of a lot worse. I just put him down to 8. Hold my Wasteland. I could have wasted the stage preemptively, but given my poor state, I'm not actually scared of stage, right? They Crop Rot, try to go off with the Valakut Exploration, try to hit a bunch of stuff, but not super effective, and the drop of honey is just going to be too slow. So third draw was not very good, for sure. So I got my head on straight a little bit more. Draw again. Reasonable hand. The problem is obviously no Lackey payoff, no Cavern. I think Valakut Exploration is very good against us. That card's really hard to beat if you have Exploration, because normally the plan to beat Marrow Blade is to like gain a little bit of life and then crack back for lethal with Sling Bang. No, it goes face, but it just generates like infinite cards. You can just storm off. It just lets you see so much of your deck. I don't know if I'll play a league or not. I was trying to play around Stifle there, so I shot Badlands. Turns out it is show and tell. Wasteland's pretty good draw. Port the city. They go for a sneak attack with all the ramp in the world. I try to Wasteland their Volcanic to beat it. And they find a fetch land. Top Tech Lackey is like the best thing possible. Just pretty hilarious. They have 0 cards. So they do need to find it. And they brainstorm and whiff. Nature and finds Muxus. They're still brainstorm locked. And I have an insane, and they know they're still locked, right? So I can even port the red source the turn after. Yeah, so we reverse show and tell them, putting way more than legal on the table, and I could even, depending on what the ringleader hit, the ringleader hit like a skirt. No, it doesn't work. No, I was thinking if you hit a skirt there, there's a world where you can port plus expert, but you can't actually do that. Unless, well, actually, no, you can do that because of Prospector, because of the War Marshal, without sacrificing port state. That's kind of funny. So beat the turn 3 sneak attack Emrakul. That's pretty cool. This seems a little bit of an ambitious keep, but the fact that I have Cavern is really nice, and then Matron lets me fetch up an answer to either Embercool or can't really beat a Grizzlebrand yet, but if I get a turn, then I can pretty easily. So Major Permuxis, drop Pile Driver, a sneak attack. Don't have the Spirit Guide or the Pedal though. I'm not sure if I want to play Port or the Fetch yet, so I don't like Fetch to thin there. It's also a reasonable world where I kill them right here, because if I hit Skirk, I can cast the Slink Gang. Or if I hit the second Slink Gang, which I exactly do. No other hits, but it's actually one short of killing them. But they kill themselves for me by casting Intuition. It's an interesting choice. But I guess they're if that's like their only line, then they're screwed either way. So I guess they can top deck the red source, but they're not allowed to. They're still kind of screwed, right? Because if they Grizzlebrand, they can't draw cards, or else they die. And if they Emrakul, I can just sack, and crack back for more than lethal. Um, so sneak attack doesn't actually beat my ward state no matter which thing they have there. Holy shit, Stripa with the host. Hey Chase, 234 viewers. Honestly, I've won my last like four show and tell matchups in a row. Maybe five. Matchup feels legitimately good now. So hello everyone. I'm in a new place. We've got our pile driver and Moxus Prince up on the wall here. Just talking about some matches. I'm a little bit of a small brain today because I moved over the weekend. So I'm a little fried. So I don't know. I don't know how much playing I can actually do because I think I'll just punt a lot. Sure. Uh, so I'm just gonna take it easy and talk about some matches. So I went on a bit of a tilt queue, and I'm trying to point out like where I went wrong. And I think I made a couple big mistakes against lands. I played Shadow, made a big mistake. Um, so just noting like where I'm messing up. And I think the general trend was game 3 against lands. I was keeping 2 reactive hands, but didn't like. I was just like, oh, these have Wastelands, Caracas, and like sideboard cards, but like didn't actually do anything, and I would easily lose. Um, So I think I just started to play scared a lot when I was losing more, which I think is like a good thing to keep in mind. So like if you're on a losing streak, how to recorrect back to like where you want to be. How'd the challenge go with you then? I saw you were doing pretty well. So I'm gonna play here. This person always plays Reanimator or Oops or like something degenerate. So I mull to a hand that has Caracas in it, and they're on neutral spell, so I die. That's how that goes. Um, oh, if you are interested, you can exclamation point CFB. I did this league with Anurag Das for Gem Fireball, and that is the part 2 of that was not on YouTube. So part 1 came out last week, and then part 2 came out on Wednesday. And I'm really happy with it. I think that was super fun content. We had some really cool matches. So part 2 we played against. So we did first 2 matches in part 1 were Hogak Depths, and then the next one was Abzan Depths, and then the third one. So part 2 will be Painter, Mono Red Painter. Oh no, sorry, wrong order. Is a like Affinity or Steel Stompy, then Mono Red Painter, then Blue White like Legend Blade, like actual old school like Fencer, Caracas, and Click stuff, and it was pretty cool. So I definitely check them out. So you can exclamation point CFB. So be sure to check that out. And if you're interested in more specialized Goblins content, you can go to exclamation point Patreon. And I've got a Patreon page that you can check and support me on there if you're interested. So this hand doesn't beat them turn 1 me because for pyrokinesis to beat oops all spells, you need you need a sack outlet because they play one bridge from below. But if you have the sack outlet play like Scarf Prospector, Sling Lieutenant, um, Crater Maker, Trash Master in a pinch, depending on the board state, you can pyrokinesis their stuff, and then in response to the bridge triggers, sacrifice everything or sacrifice one thing or other. So you pyrokinesis with the last Narcomoeba on the stack, so they can't cast Dread Return for Thassa's Oracle. So can't afford to port here. It's just too likely you die. Drawing Cage is nice though. But here I just go port plus pass. If the tap mountain penguin is able to complete here, would you consider the meta base? Yes. Yes. So that would mean those will also kill like Delver. Yeah, I'd play that. So now I can play Crater Maker. Like this is pretty unassailable because now they need to both therapy my pyrokinesis, force of vigor, both these things, kind of all at the same time. And they just lose to the cage. They target me, the Balustrade Spy, which is pretty funny. And then, I mean, this is just I just die on a multiple. Like, I don't think that you can reasonably mulligan this hand. Like, I could mulligan for my one trap or surgical, but I think that is playing scared. And if they have like Chancellors or something, you go Pattern Lackey. They might have kept a hand because of Chancellor, but they just multiple but then have land break Writ and Hormone. So obviously, if the cage is surgical, I win there, but that's fine. That's fine. That's oops for you. Here, solid hand. Playing against Delver, I think. Yeah. This forces the Tavern's a good draw, so I trade my Lackey and the Expert for Dreadhorde, which feels really bad though, because now they can just get my Cavern. That's how Dreadhorde works. But it seems they're stuck on lands a little bit. I just keep pouring and see if to bait out another wasteland. But they find their lands. The Goit's not that scary. If I jam out a ton of stuff, I just go Warshoot Pile Driver because I can play the Pile Driver throughout days because of Prospector, so I'm not really worried about anything but a force. So they take the damage from the Pile Driver and just block the Warsheep, which works out fine for me because I have second Warsheep. Oko. I have another Pile Driver, and I actually big time punt here. I thought I miscounted. I thought I had one less mana than I actually did. So I didn't need to fetch there, and it ends up costing me like huge. It's absolutely massive. So I go face there, and then they waste on my Black Source and then draw Magician's Expert, so I would have lethal right there. So yeah, that was just me miscounting. It's force negation. Spell Pierce makes sense. 3/3s. Muxus, I jam. Pay for the days. Under, play Goyf. Kind of thought they should elk my Muxus there because it's just so big. But Pashlake locks up the game because it's just straight up 4 points. I have to attack. So that's game one. Hunted, but got lucky and drew out of it. So this is a very solid hand. So first file gets forced, which is somewhat expected. And you get 4/5 Goyf as usual. Try to take them off Dreadhorde. There's an argument that I should have played Pile Driver there, but I really didn't want them to play a 3-drop. I played there because I can't stop them. for the most part. Though it would have worked out, but it turns out they don't actually have a 3-drop. Great Hammer comes down. My man is just really awkward this game. Block. I'll leave my vial on 3 here because I'm not trying to sling gang quite yet. The matron, grab my War Marshal because I'm trying to chunk for more turns. Just keep this Goif off my back. Bolt me, and bolt me. So triple bolt. If I had gone for the sling gang earlier, yeah, yeah. I don't know if I'm supposed to play around that there. Because the problem with the taking the vial to 4 early means that the matron and the patch like kind of get locked in my hand. And if I get one more turn, then I can get the sling gang down and then jump on the Goif. The removal spell. So I think that's just a reasonable risk to take. Is like they have 5 bolts in their deck. They find 3 of them in the top 18 cards. Sure. Here, game 3, easy mulligan. This hand is also not very good, but it has this is like Goif covered really well with the relic and the Marshal, and the Chain Whirler might kill a Delver if they play it late. Yeah, Issue Fox, that's also true, right? So turn 1 Delver is what I was scared of, but I draw the red source. I'm just like, oh my god, please don't flip your Delver. Please don't flip your Delver. Like Goif. So this is the moment that decides the game basically right here. Does this Chain Whirler resolve? It does not. I think I'm forced to walk into it there though, right? Because if I play I could play the Pile Driver and hold up Relic. Problem with the waiting is the Delver is reasonably likely to click on the next turn. And then the Goif I could also kill the Goif without having to pop Relic right there, right? So I could just target myself with the Relic, make it a 1, and then it dies. I guess specifically, I need to do that. Well, the other problem with waiting is that I need to draw a land, and I need them to not wasteland me. So, Collector's a pretty big con. Now, obviously, it would have worked. But I don't think that's correct because you can't count on the Delver not flipping for 2 turns. And they would have played Oof anyway. Out of Pile Driver in play. I guess I could pop the Relic in response to the Oof. And then cast Chain Whirler. It definitely would have played out a lot better for me, but I don't know if it's correct. I think I'm supposed to jam there. It's the window where the Chain Whirler kills the Delver is so narrow. But the Pile Driver being in play would have been nice. But yeah, they just had like infinite threats. The Collector Roof, and then the Delver blind flips on Bolt, as it does. So close to this Muxus getting there. And then I draw Nether Vial. Literally does nothing. Yeah. Yeah, maybe if I play the Pile Driver, I can just raise the Delver, and I don't have to care about killing the Delver with Chain Whirler. That's definitely reasonable. Yeah. Yeah, so Pile Driver plus Relic, Pop Relic. I draw my cards a little earlier. Then I go Chain Whirler, attack. Goy probably eats a token. Oh, then the Goy dies, so they can't. And then the Pile Driver trades with the Ooh. And so then it's Goy plus Delver. And I can play the Sling Gang on the next turn. Basically, it depends on whether or not they. The next part of my deck is a Vial. I mean, a land. Because of getting the one card off this Relic means that I get to cast Muxus. I have a reasonable shot of winning this game. If Muxus hits some blockers and then a munitions expert, or like 2 experts. Um, yeah. Yeah, maybe I just tunnel visioned on killing the Delver with the Chain Whirler. The day is just so brutal. Alright, and then here I start to get my head on straight a little bit more. I'm gonna play kind of hand, right? I lead on Lackey here. I don't love that I did, but it's obviously the super high upside play. It's Gobnik, Twitch Prime sub for 9 months. Thanks so much, Gobnik. Sorry. So yeah, this would have played out obviously pretty different if I played the Vial first, right? So then if they cast Valakut Exploration on turn 2 instead of holding up Fire, then I get to get this Muxus to play. I think I just like die to get the next loan off with that. I don't think there's some magical way I win this game. You just do so many things. Actually, I think that this game becomes somewhat close, which is kind of nuts. So they have Depths combo. Unfortunately, there's no way for me. Oh god, so many things happening. I should have gone slower. All right, let's look at that again because that was actually there's a lot of things happening in that turn, and they are actually worth looking at. Okay. Dredge. And they do hit the Grow, which is a huge problem. Grow in the Depths. Prospector, because that's my chance to get Muxus to play, because Sling Gang isn't good enough, right? Take Vial to 4. So I'm trying to Caracas the Depths. Problem is, I need them to both. They have what 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. It costs essentially 3 mana to Depths, right? So let's have Stage, Mox, Depths. So they have Wasteland, Grove, Mox. So I play my Prospector out here, trying to induce them to P-Fire something before the Prospector resolves. So before the Prospector resolves, Violent Ringleader. It's Sling Gang Muxus. Hitting the Sling Gang really, really sucks, by the way. So sack my whole board. Yeah. Get Lackey, and they're at 18, so there's no way for me to force them to Merit Lage in combat here. And that's what kills me. I needed this Crater Maker to be like a pile driver. Also, yeah. If I'd played out the land and kept my Prospector, sack Matron, play Lackey, sack her. It still wouldn't be enough. So I'm trying to bait them into a mistake, basically. But can't beat the Wasteland plus the depths there. But it was surprisingly close. Hey, Jafar. Jafar. Yeah, moved this weekend. But again, leading on Vial there would have been a lot better. I don't know if that's actually like correct in the vacuum though. It's actually a smaller room, but it's like its own room instead of being part of just the larger apartment. I mean, I'm moving in with my in-laws temporarily. In-laws. They gave me one of the guest rooms as an office. So very solid 6 year. Acoustic is strange. Interesting. Do I really sound different? Make sure that's not. No. Should be correct. Oh.
Hello, is that better? That might be. Oh, damn it. Oh, damn it. Whole first hour's like that. Fuck. All right, well, this is how it's supposed to sound here. Oh, come on. All right, well, sounds much better now. So a great 6 here. We got Vial, Caracas, Relic, which got like all the bases covered here. Only wish this was basic land. It's like the only really complaint. Torn Exploration plus Grove. Play out my Crater Maker there. I don't want my Relic to get exposed to a Force of Figure. That would just be too brutal. So Tabernacle is fine. At this point, because of the Tabernacle tying out my mana, I kind of have to play out the Relic. I should have tapped the Caracas to play it, and then because now I can go like it's just worse. It's better to hold up the basic there. But they've got 3 cards. Not throwing out the War Chief there. 3 Groves makes this Relic a lot worse against a P-Fire, though. Now I have Violent Matron. Grab Matron. Crop Rotation. Take out that Grasping Dunes while it's on the stack. Blast Zone. Takes out everything, but they lose their Exploration as well, and at least get to crack my Relic, so it's not really. How do I get that buttons on the bottom? Oh, this is just the Moto replay system. So I let the Matron die so I can play my War Chief this turn. Expert, not a great draw. But I get to attack for 4, which is not nothing. Port me. And I believe I flash in the Expert here when they port me. I do have P-Fire for War Chief, which sucks. Draw Needle, which is eh. But now I am pretty solidly P-Fire locked. So this game looks like kind of unwinnable, but I do actually get out of it. So I let that the Expert die, because it doesn't matter. I want to play my needle so I can name the port. Cindervines. Sure. So they still port me, but I draw the land. And I ringleader and I hit Pashlik Mons. I wanted to get that moment of that opening where they didn't have P Fire mana up to get the ringleader to connect there. So they're now at 6. So I hit them down to 5. Drawing the Wasteland is nice, though. So I don't play Matron here because I don't want to tap my Wasteland. Valkut Exploration. I Wasteland the port so I can unlock a land. And I draw Cavern. Play Pashlik and pass with Caracas up. And I think this is a common mistake. People don't realize that Pashlik is legendary. So I just get to bounce them back. And that's just such a good exchange for me. Because now they can't P-Fire on this turn. And I draw Wasteland so I can slam Muxus. And they did have a second Punishing Fire, but the fact that the Prospector forced them to use it right then to not die to Pashlik, like now they just can't beat this board state, right? They get a Mox time enough through Valakut Exploration. So that the mana intensiveness of the P-Fire lock really got them stuck there. So yeah, that was a pretty interesting one. Obviously, running lands was really, really nice to be able to Muxus there. But then game 3, Muxus Intel too strong indeed. And everyone's always said Lance is a bad show and tell matchup, right? This is a kind of a medium hand, but landed to port, got Skirk, War Marshal, Buddy Team, plus Pile Driver, and Surgical for Loam. Take the Loams. Don't see what their hand is. The Relic is a little irrelevant now. I think they were land light, so I opt... Oh yeah, they have 2 Valakut Explorations in their hand. So that's why I opt to port there. Maybe I'm wrong about that, though. They probably would have played it. So I was hoping to draw land, and I cycle the Relic to do so. Yeah, this Light Blue text is heinous. Like, really, really bad. This is not a 5-0. This is just it's just a 3-2. But I'm just looking at my matches, seeing where I'm making mistakes. Waste my port. I draw a land. Wasteland's pretty solid. Attack for 2. They Pile Driver, hold up Wasteland. The Crop Rot for... Oh, their hand was 2 Crop Rotations. That's right. So at this point, I'm like, okay, how do I avoid dying to Depths combo? The Wasteland really, really opens it up for me. So I know one of their cards in hand is Crop Rotation. So I sack 1 Goblin to pay for the Pile Driver. And then, so I can progress my board state and still hold up this Wasteland since I drew another land. And they have another stage. Nice pay with all 3. They Crop Rot for Maze because they have to. But now there's Stone Dead. Nothing they can really do here through the double Wasteland I've got. So yeah, Pile Driver really showing its potency. Because it allows you to deal a lot of damage without needing a super wide board. Like, you just need a couple of guys. This was on the draw. Ancient Tomb go. I decided to just play my Vial here because if it's like Eldrazi or something, I don't really want to Wasteland Ancient Tomb because it deals them a whole bunch of damage, and I've got a Sling Gang in my hand. If they Thought Not Seer me, it's okay. They play Trinisphere, which is like the least scary thing in the universe. Ivug and Trinisphere, real combo. And honestly, this is like beautiful. This is actually beautiful to me. Like, watch this. Watch this turn. I have no creatures on board. They go Cloudpost go, Violent Pile Driver. And then War Chief, Sling Gang, swing for lethal. Like, just the whole like have a vial on 2, have no creatures on board into, and I'm like wasting importing you every single turn of the game, and then all of a sudden swing for lethal. That is the Goblins experience right there. While your opponent's pinned under their own Trinisphere. So this is a hand that I will be sad if they chalice me, but they might not have chalice post board, and also this hand's just nuts. So I play Wasteland on Vial because I probably want to double Wasteland on turn 2. And they have Candelabra, so I'm like, oh my god, yes, please, double Wasteland. So good there. So, name the Candelabra. Something like Karn would be pretty devastating, but now at this point, it's not really. We can attack down Karn pretty easily. Yeah, I think they just had some really expensive spells in hand, if I had to guess. So a Ringleader, get a bunch of stuff. At this point, I'm just like, okay, I think I have enough gas in hand that even if the Muxus is bad, I can just go for Muxus and it's whatever. And it is kind of bad. Like, and I didn't attack first because the chances that I have one of my 2 War Chiefs in the top 6, out of what 30, 37, or well, out of 43. So pull the tops. Yeah, I think that's reasonable odds to hit War Chief there. I don't, but it's fine. They have a Walking Ballista for 2, and it does not matter. I don't think they should board out Candelabra, actually, because the way that they are going to win this matchup is by having a really broken turn. And Candelabra is also really good against Rashad and Port. I think this card's quite scary from my perspective. Like, even if it is like vulnerable to all the shatters, it's still forcing me to spend mana on those shatters. Not in the case of Trashmaster. Trashmaster is just really good, but it is also kind of expensive. So it's not going to get into play super early unless Lackey's involved. But I mean, this deck is just really soft to Lackey. Okay, Heroes against Elves. I feel this one's weird. This is a really funny match. So on the draw, land go. I thought they were Elves based on a prior match I played against them. They are, but they just had like a really weird hand. Pretty sure I just die here. Yeah, double glimpse. Yeah, that's how that goes. Nothing I could have done about that. Very reasonable hand here. It's not exciting, but Vial into Bolt or Port is solid. Dried Arbor go is like just screams bolt me. And the Prospector's a really great draw because that lets me develop my War Marshal as well. And then here I can just Matron for Pashlik Mons and Wrath everything. They just concede from there. They just can't stick at the creature on board. And here is a game. I still don't know about this. So my 7 is very appealing, but also very unappealing, right? So we got Lackey into Bolt, which is great. And we got a Matron to find something good. War Chief, Crater Maker might be good as well. But the problem is this hand doesn't interact. Like, I don't want, if I Bolt on turn 1, then the Lackey probably doesn't get to do anything. So I kind of have to go turn 1 Lackey, which is really vulnerable to them having a fast draw. So I end up shipping this. I don't know how I feel about it, though, because I've got 2 Pyrokinesis and a Cage, which are really, really good in the opener. I don't know, maybe it's insane to mulligan this. It probably is, but if this was a munitions expert, I think I would keep it. It just felt too slow. And then I ended up going to 4. And they go to 5. And they just have a really weird hand. They just go land go for like 3 turns. Obviously, my 7 would have steamrolled this. So I'm thinking they just have like multiple natural orders in hand. So just trying to avoid Dried Arbor Fetch kill you. Yeah, I hate Tarfire, but Snoko is playing 4 very good Tarfire targets post board. So take my chance to expert here. War Chief's a solid draw. Now I'm feeling okay, right? But Decay on War Chief ends up punishing me pretty bad. Yeah. So the Decay was kind of rough, but also keeps the Pashlik around. So I wasteland their Black Source and then Tarfire the Dryad Arbor. They go for a reasonable glimpse there. Draw Needle. I'm trying to avoid dying to natural order. That's basically what I'm trying to avoid. I think I should have activated Pashlik, but I wanted to port because I was too scared to natural order. Because obviously I just died of Progenitus if I don't port there. And it does seem that that's what's happening here. I think I just kind of flood out and die. I draw a bunch of needled symbiotes. Probably should have stopped attacking. Yeah, that at this point, well, at this point, I thought I was gonna. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sacrifice Pashlik to ping, and then block. So I get to kill most of the board here. So I just need to beat a 2/2 and a 1/1. Hardcast Pyrokinesis. So I regret my choice at that point, but another Nendel Sentinel, another Wasteland, Cradle, another land. Very sad cage. Yeah. So flooding got me pretty good there. I even boarded down on lands. Yeah, no matron in the top 20. Makes things tough. But I could have played that better. Also could have not mulliganed before. That was really feels bad, but I don't know. I think I should have kept the 7. Trying to mulligan to a cage or pyrokinesis, like you're mulliganing to a 3 of in a matchup that can get pretty grindy. I think that was just again me trying to play too much around people having really, really strong hands. Which is what I do when I'm tilted. And then here, I just on the draw. Oh, it's Shadow, yeah. Here I like wasteland them a bunch and never does anything. And I think I make a big mistake this game as well. Yeah, I draw another wasteland here, and I was trying to preserve a black source for expert, but what I should have done is fetch 2 mountains, play Crater Maker. Because they just wasteland my wasteland, and it's just absolutely devastating because I just never ever draw a 3rd land. Yeah, and they just had an insane brainstorm that gave them Shadow and Angler. That was really bad. So here, I don't know, maybe I'm overestimating how bad Shadow's mana base is, but it feels like they die a lot to their mana base. I moved Gubnik. Cavern's a nice draw, but here I'm just trying to mess with their mana a lot. And that's really good for me, though. Like them wasting my port. Waste them again. Maybe I should have played the War Marshal there. I had a few too many passive turns. Third Wasteland. That's the second Wasteland, right? Second War Marshal is really good. Delver to Daze, which is a tilt. I think I pay Echo here, yeah. And I'm just like trying to race them. If they have to crack the Ratchet Bomb on one, then they lose their Delver. And then they fetch, and then pass, because they don't have another Underground Sea. So this screams they have Plague Engineer in their hand. So Blackie's like the worst draw possible. And they Wasteland me a third time, and then Plague Engineer. And then dead. So 3 Wastelands. I could have gotten the War Marshal down a turn earlier, but they cast 1 cantrip this game. I guess 2 street rates if you want to count that, but it feels unlikely that Shadow can beat triple or double Wasteland and afford to triple Wasteland me. Right? They play 18 lands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Uh, 7 lands. Unusually high for Shadow. Maybe. Maybe not. New Warren. Yeah, I'm a lot closer to my family now. So I'm still not sure I'm supposed to be sideboarding against Shadow. Engineer really threw him, like this matchup used to be like an absolute buy, but then Engineer really flipped how you're supposed to approach it, I think, because before they just couldn't beat up high level 1/1s, like they just could not. Because their whole plan is attack with the giant ground creatures that get chump blocked forever. And then you just kill them with little dudes. If I'd played my War Marshal turn earlier, I think I may have won this race though. Yeah. Definitely got a little heavy-handed with my Wastelands though. All right, and here I finally pulled myself together a little bit. Put together a 4/1. Go to 4. Get forced. This is against Doomsday. They said turn 1 Doomsday with force backup, so pretty irrelevant whatever I had. I just go for the mana screw, and they had a. It actually works, right? So no, I died. I just conceded. Yeah. They had the pedal and the cavern. This hand's like kind of awesome. He's a red source, but 3 points of interaction is pretty good. They go for the Doomsday on turn 2, and they have the Force of Will. But I still have my Surgical, and I still have my Red Blast, so a red source is a really good draw. Draw Muxus, which is also a good draw. I hit Matron, so Matron for Sling, Matron for Skirk, Violent Skirk, Castling Gang. So Muxus made it all easy on me. But most of my draws are good enough to kill them there, or give me another turn or 2 to kill them. And then game 3. Keep this hand just because it's so good at racing. And it has a cavern, which is a really big deal. I feel less uncomfortable about keeping 1 lander because I have triple 1-drop, so Thoughtseize wouldn't be the worst thing in the world as long as I draw a land for the War Marshal. So Muxus hit Slinging. So the funny thing right here, it's literally impossible for Doomsday to win. Because if they cast Doomsday, they go to 8 and they die on the spot. And I don't believe they run any removal that can kill Sling Gang. And with the second one in hand, it's also like they would need to kill me. They would need to kill Sling Gang with like a fatal push, and then I drain them for 2, put them to 14, and then they also need to go off and win on that all in that same turn because I haven't done on board. So Sling Gang's just really, really insane this matchup, and I think the best way to win it is to put Sling Gang into play on turn 2. It's really hard for Doomsday to beat that. Written to Plague. Just sack all my stuff, and then I can Muxus them, like hit them with the Muxus. That doesn't even seem that bad. Okay. I'll draw against. So this is a Turbo Muxus. Get my lackey to block their lackey. Play Rabble. Was Siege Gang Commander ever Legacy playable? Yeah, they Death Touch, so like I lose my board, but then I still have like a lot of gas in hand, right? Yeah, Siege Gang before Sling Gang was printed. Siege Gang was a pretty staple, like 1 of or 2 of in Goblins. It used to be like a 3 to 4 of in a lot of lists. Like if you look at like really old Legacy, Siege Gang was a 4x in a lot of Goblins decks. It's only until like the last year that Siege Gang wasn't really playable anymore. It's still good in certain matchups, but so Wasteland the Tomb because I'm afraid of getting Muxus, and I can Muxus next turn. Siege Game is the best thing to Thought Season reanimate. Yeah, it's probably fair. So cast my Muxus. It's not amazing, but it's good enough, right? Get a Chain Whirler. They're stuck on mana. My opponent's draw was like not very good, but this is also somewhat representative of how Turbo Muxus can be. Is like if your thing gets answered, you just can't do anything. Somewhat speculative, keep in mind, if they play Torment Lackey, I die on the spot. But the fact that I can beat a turn 2, like War Instigator or something like that, with the War Marshal, right there, is why I kept it. I could have gone the double block there, but it felt too risky against removal. Yeah. So I double block there. Because if they have removal, they're going to be able to do it on the next turn anyway. And also, like, just in the way they were playing, I just didn't think they had it, to be honest. Yeah, they need to have a pretty strong draw. So Chain Roller's obviously insane here. I'm assuming their hand is like just so many expensive spells. Yeah, like they just played two creatures and died. Next one. Turn on the play. Got a Wasteland. Got some good stuff to put in. I believe this is Delver. And I think they just died to this Wasteland. Yeah, they just missed their land drop for forever. Discard Arcanist. So they force the War Chief. And then force the Ringleader. And then the second Ringleader gets there and draws 4 cards. So they just didn't have a land for forever. So that's just kind of a nonsense game. This is a good death. So my hand's pretty solid. I'm gonna lead on Lackey off of Mountain because I don't care. Like connecting it with it is kind of a pipe dream here, especially if they're going land go. And the Cavern's just way more important. So Lackey is bolted. So the Brainstorm and then play out the Wasteland is pretty suspicious. So I Wasteland their Volk. Yeah. So basically the same thing happens 2 games in a row. Ringleader hits only a matron, but this is... So if they had land Blazing Volley, then they're not in a heinous position. But they're still taking 5 a turn. I have a removal spell in my hand. And he wants to for $20 Euro cash coming to a Monday. Yeah. If only that applied to Legacy. So here was a match against Tom. I feel bad about this one. I punted really, really hard game 2. Like, this would have been a 5-0 if not for this mistake. But I also drew, like, insanely well. So, game 1 on the draw, mulligan to 5. But this, my hand is, like, hilariously redundant versus discard because I have double lackey and then 2 really good payoffs. So, go for the Muxus, throw a whole bunch of garbage on the board, and then even if he could combo there, he would need to maybe I have double lackey, so he can't, like, if it was just one lackey, he could block the lackey, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, take 12, and then win. But the double lackey, and if I hit a land for the war chief, it's also lethal. Yeah, it's a lot of free mana. So this is game 2. My hand was great and my draws were insane, but I just punted it away. So let's look at that. Obviously, double Muxus is like kind of shitty, but we've Wasteland and Caracas and 2 1-drops. We take some Vial. I top deck second Vial, so Thoughtseize Bug. Fix my Skirk. Draw a Pile Driver. He Thoughtseizes it. I draw a Lackey, which is absolutely the best thing possible. What do I think of Krenko lately? Not playable. I'm only playing 2 Haste Lords. It's terrible against Delver. It's bad against Oko. It's like all the decks. The Krenko was insane back when Bug Colors couldn't beat it. Because it didn't die to Abrupt Decay. And so this was like pre-Fatal Push. And even post-Fatal Push, it was still fine, because they usually didn't play that many of them. Krenko now with Plague Engineer. Yeah, I've only got 2 War Chiefs. I could see playing 3 pretty reasonably, but I wouldn't play more than 3. Basically, ever. So, like, I just don't think there are any matchups where Krenko's good anymore compared to any other finisher, right? Like, I want to play 2 Sling Gang Lieutenant because it's insanely powerful and closes games out faster than any other card we can play. And I want to play 2 Muxus because, again, the card is, like, the most objectively powerful thing the Goblins does is get Muxus into play. And I don't have slots to play anymore. I can't play 5 finishers, right? So the slots just don't exist for Krenko. It's the combo. So play my Caracas. Attack. He Ghost Quarters. Yeah, so this is my huge mistake. So he Ghost Quarters the Caracas. And I should have just let that go, because the thing is, Depths doesn't have it only plays 1 Ghost Quarter, right? So if they're Ghost Quartering the Caracas there, they can't beat the Wasteland until they find a Needle or can combo a second time. And with the Muxus coming into play, there's no way they have time to do that. So yeah, so I waste the stage here for no reason, and it lets them kill me with a Crop Rot Spirit Guide line. Yeah. So huge punt there, like really, really bad. Kind of impossible to lose if I had just not Wastelanded, so felt really bad about that one. In game 3, I have a okay hand. Like, we have the Caracas and a Vial, but it's bad against Pithing Needle, basically. Yeah. And I just draw a bunch of Vials. So I bolt the Safekeeper, and so I have to draw a Shatter here. and I do not. So I had 4 matrons, or 3 matrons, 3 crater makers, 2 sling gangs as redraws. It's like 8 outs there. But just draw another land. So pretty unfortunate. I think this should not have gone to game 3. But that's what happens. I punt against depths pretty often. It's a hard deck to play against. It's just you have to think a lot of steps ahead. So here I learned my lesson from the lands game, and I lead on Lackey, or lead on Vial, and then it's Dredge. I don't think it would have mattered here, because they just have a turn to hit. So they hit triple bridge. If they didn't hit bridges, then if they only hit 1 bridge, I can beat that, because then they I can Crater Maker the zombie attack put amongst us. Yeah, this blocks before Thresh as well, right? So Charmer Lackey would not have solved my problem this game. But here, the sand's solid. Triple Expert's a little awkward, but Pyrokinesis is really good with the Skirk as a sack outlet. Kelva Study, ditch 2 Icarids. They don't have a Dredger, which is kind of interesting. I flash in my Expert, and then they freaking Firestorm me. War Marshal's a good draw, though. Firestorm's brutal, though. Real brutal. But it seems like they kept the hand because they had a Wear Tear and a Firestorm, which is, I mean, reasonable, but it also puts them in an awkward spot here. And the Pile Driver is a really excellent draw because now the clock is very real. They Cabal Therapy themselves, put Shenanigans so they can start dredging for 1, which is hilarious. They have Cephaly Coliseum, but without the dredgers, like the big dredgers, it doesn't really do anything. So they died a Pile Driver there. So Pile Driver, excellent. So obvious moles. And then I keep this. This is pretty solid. We got a Surgical, 2 drops, red card to pitch Pyro. Port might do stuff. Pitch the Patch Lake because it's the least castable. Turn 1 Prospector's a really good draw though. Dredge, Therapy. They named Pile Driver off the Therapy, which is like, feels bad, man. And they know about the Surgical now. Top Matron's reasonable. Just play out my Crater Maker though. I Surgical the Icarids because I don't want them to be able to Flashback Therapy on this turn specifically. So I saw they boarded out Icrid, which is kind of interesting. So the hand is Therapy, Imp, Wear Terror, Bridge. They Therapy themselves, getting Bridge in the yard, and because they hit a Narcomoeba. And then I kill the Narcomoeba in response, pop the Bridge, so they don't get zombies and like go off and kill me. War Marshal's a really strong draw there. So they know my Pyrokinesis as one of my cards here. So here, I don't have that much that I'm scared of here with the Icarid's gone. So with Icarid gone and a Narcomoeba gone, you've only got a few enablers left to actually get stuff into play. So I'm fine getting aggressive, matroning up Pashlik here. Because even if they can't Therapy me, it's not that big a deal. And they do hit another Narc, but they don't hit another Therapy. Yeah, so like since we have Prospector, it's you can't die to Bridge, and so now all I have to do is kill their Narcomoebas and they can't win. They whiff on that one. And then this is lethal on board. Swing for 5. Cast a Goblin. Sack 4 things. Yeah, so Dredge, Skirk Prospector is just so solid against Dredge. Like, it just allowed us to it mitigated a goblin, or mitigated a zombie token, and mitigated stopped them from therapying us again. Just a really, really solid card in the matchup. And then here is a match against Chase. This was a pretty nutty match. Like, just really interesting. Unfortunately, the motor replay is going to break because of Yorion in game 3, which is the most interesting game. So turn 1 Lackey gets forced, which is a bummer because Chase's deck does not have many answers to turn 1 Lackey. He's got like 3 in the 80 card thing. My hand is good, but it needs lands. So he brainstorms, I drop my pile driver. Draw the land for the War Chief, which is very, very important here. So I have to hit him for 5. So he plays Uro, Bonders. So I play my Matron here because I'm just going to get a second pile driver and kill him with that if he doesn't have force. But he has a second force. But I still get to hit him for quite a lot here. For what? Hit him for 9. So he fetches. And he actually, he's told me he misclicks here. He casts an Uro in his hand instead of escaping it. But I don't think it would have mattered because he taps these 2. And so unless he drew another removal spell, that could kill pile driver, so it can't be Drown on the Lock. The pile driver should be able to erase him here. And also we can go, if we really want to, we can go like Gem Palm, or like Skirk, Gem Palm, plus Crater Maker to kill the Uro if I really have to. And it can't be like Ice Fan Coatl doesn't get him out of it, so I mean he had some outs there, like Fatal Push would be really good. So if he's at 7. I could potentially just cast the Jump Home, cast the Skirk. I mean, obviously it depends on what my draw step is, but he didn't have the removal spell, so the pile driver gets there. Pile driver is so important in this matchup. Because Pro Blue is just incredibly relevant. So I sided out 1 Vial, 2 Crater Makers, 2 Prospectors, 2 Lackeys, Gem Palm, and the draw. I didn't board in the Surgical. I probably should. I think I do for game 3. But the Relics come in, the Blasts come in, Trash Man came in, but I wasn't really a fan of it. And my hand is like pretty awkward. It's a turn 1 Vial and like a bunch of expensive spells, yeah. This is like a hand I'm very scared of, because the problem with this hand is that it dies to Dak Faden. I draw another 4-drop. Port's a really good draw, though. Crater Maker's reasonable. I could have played Matron there. I was too scared of, maybe he doesn't have the 4th land to play Dak this turn. But I think playing Matron would have been pretty good. It does Dak my Vial. While I do get to kill the Dak, it's pretty rough. Because now my mana is just super awkward. So I think I probably should have Matroned the prior turn. I also could have Crater Makered the Vial. Yeah, Vial and Snapcaster. Get a free Brainstorm there. Takes the trade. Play Lackey, and porting doesn't really do anything here. I want to hold up Crater Maker, so he's P-Fire Lock as well. So, yeah, turn 6 can't really handle. I can blast the Uro, take out the Vial. So, Matron for Muxus, because the only way I'm going to win this game is just drawing land. Bottle and Dak lets him keeps him looting. So I do a draw land. This is the spot where I really regret boarding out one of my Skirk Prospectors. so I might keep a Prospector. And I don't draw the land, unfortunately. So there's nothing. The thing is just I have nothing to matron for here that's actually good. So I get Chain Whirler, clear the Coatl. It's just double P Fire. It's just like so hard to win from here. Even with Amuxus is really, really good. He's at 25. So Amuxus flips a War Chief and an Expert, which is solid, but since I chump blocked early, it's like he just gets to kill everything in response. I think he has Seagate Restoration for 1 million just to see what happens. Yeah, he's at 25. This game's over. And he found his plague off of that. Yeah, so I scooped there. I mean, I think that this is a demonstration of the problem with the matchup in that keeping the hand I kept, it was a very slow hand. Like I didn't even deploy it that well. I think when I'm under the gun like that, taking the turn off to port and hoping that he doesn't have the 4th land to DAC is a little ambitious. Playing out the matron potentially for a pile driver or a war chief, probably war chief, because then if on the next turn I go war chief, hit DAC for 1, hit you for 4, and then that forces him to kill the war chief before moving on. So probably a mistake there. So game 3. So I'm just like, oh my god, please give me turn 1 Lackey. So this is a good turn 1 Lackey hand. And I have answers to Plague as well. But he does have the Force. I don't think it's reasonable to wait for to protect Lackey with Blast, because by that time then he can start P-firing Lackey, and it doesn't make any sense to wait. Pile Driver's a good draw. In case he has like Drown in the Lock. Attack for 1. Mana situation's not great again, though. So, Coatl, sure. P-Fire, buyback P-Fire. I'm like, oh god, why? Top deck Relic's really good, though. I decided to play Relic and hold up Blast / Relic activation. So I know he's a P-Fire in hand. Ponders. He plays Scoos. He's also missing a land. So land here is really nice because it lets me expert the Ooze and still hold up my Relic. And I wasteland his Grove there. I don't know if that's correct, but he missed a land drop, so it felt pretty reasonable. Another land is nice. I swing just the pile driver because I'm assuming it's just going to get P-fired. I don't want him to be able to like block with Coatl on expert P-fire, and then I have just a Pashlik Mons on my board. I play my Creator Maker out. He P-fires pile driver. That's fine. Still trying to hold up my blast as much as possible. He brainstorms. Plays Uro. So I think he's just like accepting that the relic is going to get some value. So pop the relic there. I attack with my 1/1. Yeah, keep the Creator Maker. Keep Creator Maker back. Stunning. Word. So so he pushes the Pashlik, which is fine because now I get to keep my expert. So reasonable for me. He's only got 1 card. He has another Uro though, and a Grove. Yeah, so his last card's P-Fire. So he had 2 Uros, 2 P-Fires, and 2 Groves, which is pretty annoying for me. But I haven't seen any Matrons or anything like that yet, so I've got lots of good top decks. The port is stopping him from going crazy. Did you guys play Furnace over Relic back in the day? What do you mean by Furnace? Waddle's fine. I'm porting blue. Stop double blue. Seems more relevant than double green. puts Yorion in his hand. Draw Wasteland, take out that Grove, so no longer getting P-Fire locked. So his hand is Yorion, P-Fire, 1 unknown. P-Fire's my face. Bracing Furnace. I don't know. I think old Goblins lists just play Tormod's Crypt. So blast the Uro. I was hoping to save that for Yorion, but I draw another land. Really hoping for a Matron's or a Ring Leader or a Muxus at this point. Like, I have to draw my late game cards to win this. So he plays Yorion here. And I Tarfire the Ice Fang Quaddle, so he doesn't get a draw off it. I think the Motor Replay is about to break, unfortunately. Oh, no, it actually worked. Holy shit, nice. All right, so Matron finds Muxus. Finds Dak, which is quite good. It seems he can't quite escape Uro. His mana is a little bit awkward. And Port's really interesting. So slam my Muxus here and leave up a Port. Or no, I leave up, yeah, extra mana. I think this may be a mistake. But I hit really good. Hit Expert for the Yorion and a War Chief and another Ringleader. It does have P-Fire. But I still get to kill the Uro. I mean the Yorion. Kill Dak. Hit him for 1. Play a Lackey. I do wish I ported him, I think, though. The thing is, if I hit Matron and I don't hit Expert, I want to be able to Matron for Expert and cast it. All right, so here, that is a critical step right there. So he has 1 unknown. He played Deed with 4 mana up. So I have 8 mana. There are a lot of options here. If I just attack immediately, he cracks Deed with the Muxus trigger on the stack. Muxus hits him for 4. Goes to 10. I play Sling Gang, play Pile Driver, report him. That line is okay. So he's at 10, and I have 5 Goblins on board. And Uro probably isn't enough to stabilize him from there through the Pile Driver. Unless he's gone through 3 P-Fires and 2 Groves. It's not terribly likely he can get P-Fire Grove back. I do have to be aware of the fact that Sling Gang, something I didn't think about in the moment, Sling Gang lets him buy back P-Fire. What I should have done is draw step, port one of the red sources. I don't think it matters which one. And see what he does, because if he cracks Deed, if he has to crack Deed in my draw step, then everything but Muxus dies, and then I play Sling Gang, and then play Pile Driver, then the Muxus hits for 8, down to 6, and then he can't fetch, which is a really big deal, right? So I think draw step port, that was like a perfect opportunity to draw step port, and I just did not see it. I really tunnel visioned. So what I end up doing is playing out my Sling. I miscounted. I played out my Sling Gang pre-combat, thinking that he would need to crack Deed in response to the tokens, and then I would sack everything except for the Muxus, drain him for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, down to 8. Muxus becomes a 6/6. Attack, put him to 2, play Pile Driver. But my math was, I just did not count properly, and he can let this resolve, and then he cracks Deed for 4, and so I have to drain for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then hit him for 4. It's like a 1 damage difference, I think. So yeah, we have this ridiculous stack here. So he goes to 2. I could have played the Powder, but now I really wanted to double port him, because if I double port him, he doesn't have green green, and he can't escape Uro. Support Trop. And I don't let him go to draw step, which is maybe a mistake. Drown's a big time punish there. Because if I had let him go to draw step, I could have ported Bayou, and then one more land is tapped. I guess it actually doesn't matter instead, because he draws a fetch. He gets to escape the Uro. And so I do top deck Matron, and I'm like, okay, am I trying to extend the game a little bit? And play it out more, or do I go directly for the kill? And it's like, it's his last card, removal spell. I think I have to hope that it isn't, because I don't have that many goblins left in the deck. So I think going for a Muxus there is just unlikely to actually work, and that gives him no time to attack with this Uro. So I go for War Chief. Sling Gang is also a form of lethal, but I want to get the Pile Driver in play in case something goes wrong. I could draw the other Sling Gang attack for 4, and then potentially kill him with the second Sling Gang. But he does not have the removal spell, and the old Matron for War Chief Pile Driver actually gets there on turn 15. This is a pretty crazy match, with this game especially. So his importance Pile Driver is, do you think you win last game by Matron Tutor Pile Driver, then dump into playoff file? What's the deck? I don't think so, because he had the P-Fire engine as well. And my mana was just too constrained. I think the best line was probably Matron for War Chief, because I drew Crater Maker that turn. So the Vial on 2 was already getting used. But yeah, playing it passively with the port there really was not smart. It was just kind of hoping that he didn't have a 4th land. The other, like, really, I could have done the really ambitious thing, which is to Crater Maker his Astrolabe and then port him, and then hope, because that forces him to have exactly a red source for Dak. But that gets blown out even more by him having the red source, because I'm just super far behind. So that was the last match I played. It was pretty interesting. Sad I punted against Tom, but so the list, Starfire has been okay. Solidly okay. I haven't killed any Plague Engineers yet with it. It's kind of a bad sign. I wouldn't mind getting a 3rd War Chief in the deck. The problem, so it's like, how much are you hedging versus Delver versus how much are you hedging versus Snow? Oh, screen dropped for a second. Right. War Chief's really important against the control decks. It's really bad against Delver. Have I missed the chalices? Not really. Yeah, necessary evil is the right way to put it. If I'd be a lot happier with it if Dreadhorde Arcanist was banned, because then it's not like this awkward 1 Tarfire, 1 Bolt split. But I was thinking, like, the thing that made me put Chalice back in my deck was Blue-Red Delver, but I think these 7 cards are quite solid against Blue-Red Delver. Like, Tarfire is pretty meh, but it does kill most of their threats for 1 mana. And having some reach in the deck is always nice. So, list is fine. I haven't been doing amazingly lately, but as, like, I hope this stream shows, is like, I've been playing not the best. I just don't think we ever got to ban DRS and keep banning every card his presence would have modified. I don't know what you mean. Are you talking about like DRS would have held off Uro and Arcanist? Which, like, yeah, that's true, but Deathrite was also just so freaking omnipresent. Like, I don't like the Magic in general was a better game during the Deathrite era because they just didn't print as many stupid cards. Um, like the quality of the Haymaker garbage was just much lower. I don't think it would have held down Breach at all. I think Breach was just too busted. Luris, would have been okay versus Luris, but also would have been insane with Luris. Like, holy shit! I know it would have made Luris even better. Good turn one Deathrite, turn two Luris. GG. Turn one Deathrite Bobble, turn two Luris Bobble back. Daze you, force you. Like, that would have been the worst shit in the universe. Holy shit! Oh my god. That would be a truly miserable experience. Oh my god. So yeah, Deathrite would answer a lot of issues with today's Magic, but it's more of a. This isn't like Deathrite is good for formats. It's just like they've printed cards that are bad for formats that Deathrite would happen to be decent against. But I think it would just make it more and more the case that like I think Deathrite would be in like 60% of decks by now if you let it be unbanned because it would just be so much better than everything else. Because it'd be like every fair blue deck and every non-blue, almost every non-blue fair deck. I mean, I just think Deathrite would be okay against Breach. I just don't think it'd be enough to like not make the deck insanely busted. Yeah, imagine turn one Deathrite, turn two Oko, like every game. That would just be utter misery, utter misery. It would be like a five. It'd be like four color Delver, 4-color Luris Delver would be like 35% of the meta or something like that. Actually, if the companion rule wasn't changed, it would probably be like it'd be a one deck format. I mean, yeah, but like Oko getting banned for Deathrite, like I mean, I think Oko probably should go at this point anyway without Deathrite, but it would have. This all I'm saying is Deathrite is banned for a very good reason. Just because Deathrite is good against the stuff that we hate. Yeah, I think Oko, Uro, Dreadhorde are all like I would love if they just cut them all. Oh my god. So cool. Legacy would breathe. And then in the long term, they probably have to ban Daze, I think. For if they're gonna keep banning stuff from Delver's shells over and over and over again. IRL Goblin. Nice name, thanks for the follow. Yep. I think I'm gonna call it there, honestly. Talked about a whole bunch of matches. My throat's starting to get a little sore. I'm happy to just like not play a whole bunch today. Rather examine what might have done. So my losses. That's the thing about Goblins is like usually your losses are your mistake in some capacity, and so whether that's mulligans or so like I over mulliganed against elves, I got too like cheesy with my wastelands and ports against Shadow, and I punted with the stifle thing. And then what else? Lands, game threes, I kept keeping really defensive hands, and that just does not work. And I like used surgical badly a couple times. Definitely things to learn from in terms of, so like there's like tactics and strategy. I think I made both tactical and strategic errors. I made strategic errors against lands, and then I made tactical errors against Shadow and Elves. I'm not sure which one the Elves game through. I'm not sure what you qualify that mistake as. Phil is streaming D&T. Let's see what's going on. So he is playing fucking Aspirin again. I do not understand why he likes that card. So bad. Oh yeah, Depths. Yeah, Depths was a tactical mistake. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Hope you all enjoyed this kind of recap stream. I will be back probably on Tuesday. Hope you enjoyed. I'm glad the mic thing got sorted out. Hope you enjoyed our new friends here. Keep in mind, exclamation point Patreon, exclamation point CFB to check out that content. And you can follow me on Twitter at GoblinLackey1 or on YouTube, of course. I think Skyclave is very good. Aspirant is bad. Skyclave is incredibly good. I think Aspirant is very bad. But maybe I'll be proven wrong in the stream there. All right, catch you all on Tuesday. Be sure to follow and subscribe and all those things if you're watching on YouTube. And hope you enjoyed me talking about these matches.